I am going to welcome everyone to Black Women Empowered. I am so excited. What beautiful, beautiful faces. Like my screen is just like shining. This is so amazing. I'm just so excited to have each one of you here. When I'm telling you, I have been on my Black girl magic thing for the last week after Kamala Harris was inaugurated last. Anybody else feeling that way? I feel like New Year's for me started on January 20th for a couple of reasons, but certainly because of what happened on that day in DC. So I've been really feeling myself, y'all. I really have. I hope you can feel it in some of the things that I sent out about the inauguration and about everything we were doing for Black Women Empowered. But I'm just so excited to have you all here. Can I ask you at the very beginning if everyone would mute themselves? We want to make sure that we can hear. I know that life is happening behind the scenes. If your screen is on, we know life is happening. If it's not on, we know life is happening. And for that reason, I'm going to apologize in advance for the dog barking that you may hear in just a few minutes. We got a new puppy about 4 months ago, and she is loud. She's small, but she's loud. So I'm going to apologize. I know that you all probably have life going on too. So let's just kind of stay on mute, knowing that we will have an opportunity to actually talk later on today together. So welcome to the Black Women Empowered Challenge. This is 3 days of coaching for professional women who are really trying to walk and lead from a place of power. We have so much power, but sometimes we release it. Sometimes we don't walk in it. Sometimes we don't operate in it. And I want us to reclaim that. I am a Black woman empowered. I am sitting here looking at a beautiful screen of all faces, and you all are as well. I inspire Black women to be empowered. And my goal for this coaching challenge is really to inspire you to know who you are, to be who that person is, and then to do what you were meant to do in a way that is aligned with who you are. So whether that impact that you make in the world is going to be big or small, what I know is that my amazing Black queens, if you come to this session, you come to these coaching challenges, you will leave better equipped, even if it's just with one thing that's going to help you to learn how to walk in your power, how to lead from a place of power. And I just want you to know that that one thing will be worth it for me. Just the one thing, the one person. I do this for free because this is a labor of love first. It is not for money. It is not for praise and prestige. It is literally with the intention of purpose, transformation, and impact. And so I am so excited to have you here. If you can only be here tonight and can only be here for a little bit, that's fine. I'm going to start by saying stay as much as you can. If you can be here today, tomorrow, and Thursday, even better. But each session that you will get is intended to be a session where you can come, you can go, you can come back. It's kind of like what I used to think about soap operas, right? Where you could come and 20 years later, you could still follow what was going on. That's kind of what this is going to be. So don't feel guilty. You don't have to explain anything. No apologies if you have to go. If your kids are calling you, you got stuff going on, that's fine. Just join as much as you can, and we would love to see you here. My name again, Erica Harris. I am a chief purpose coach and owner of my own company called Purposeful Seed. I believe there is a seed of purpose in every single person, and that our job is really to find it, then discover it, nurture it, water it, and watch it.
Yeah. Common denominators mean both denominators have to go in there.
I'm just talking and y'all can't hear a thing I'm saying. Why didn't nobody say? I didn't know.
We're hearing.
I was getting ready to tell you was on mute.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at you all like, I wouldn't have even known because everybody is going like.
I was trying to get a reminder on common denominators because, homeschool.
What y'all heard and what y'all didn't. So what's the last thing that you heard me say?
You told us about your business.
Oh, I was telling you, okay, all right. So you didn't really miss that much. That's good. All right. That's where we were.
Yeah. But Erica,
yes, go ahead, Leah.
Hi, it's Asia. Hi.
Asia, yeah.
I'm so happy to be here. I just wanted to ask everyone else, could they mute their microphone because it's overpowering you? Someone else was talking to their child in the background.
Yes, we know. And I'll probably just have to say that a couple of times because I just know I've done this enough. Life happens. That's fine. we're going to stay on mute, and I will, if I can find the button quickly while I'm talking, I will probably mute everyone but myself. So thank you, Asia, for that reminder. So what I was saying is I'm Chief Purpose Coach. I believe there's a seed of purpose in each and every one of us. And it's our job to find it, nurture it, wire it, and watch it grow. So the world can see it, and so we can live in that. And so I'm excited about bringing you all here in a way that's really going to help us understand how do we tap into that thing. And because that seed is already in you, the beauty of what I do as a coach is I don't have to have your answers. You're going to hear that from me a couple of times tonight. That's the beauty of what I do. But what I do is I create a conditions, the space for you to find the answers that you're already looking for and that are already in you. That's what today is about. It's not about me telling you what to do and how to get your life right. It's not about that. It's not about anybody on this space telling you that, although there will be some advice and some wisdom that people will have. It is really about you figuring out and taking the time and the space to get quiet enough to figure out what are the answers that are in me. And what I'm going to help you do is come up with some questions that might pull it out of you. That's my job as a coach. And how many, let me just by show of hands, how many of you have had a coach before? Anybody professional coach? Okay, all right. And there's coaching and there's mentoring. And I'm glad to see so many hands because frankly, most of us don't give an opportunity to be able to have a coach. We don't always know what coaching is. You've heard about it. Many of your colleagues have probably had it. But what I wanted to do is make sure that I created a space where I let you all know what coaching is really about and the benefits of it. Because sometimes we hear about these things that some of our colleagues, particularly our not, our white colleagues get and they do and they invest in all the time. And then we don't get an access to that. And we wonder kind of like, well, what is that thing? So I'm taking out all of the barriers around that and want to introduce you to what coaching is in a space that is safe, in a space that's really going to allow you to communicate with other women who probably have had some of the same professional challenges as you. So that's why we're here today, and I'm so looking forward to it. So I've been talking a while, although for a bit of it, I was clearly on mute. I want you all to go in the chat box and tell us where you are from. Where are you? Some of you are, most of you are probably at least in the United States, although I know at least one person, I'm looking at it right now, right? I see you, Christina, that is not in the United States, but tell us where you are. I see Chicago, Dallas, Milwaukee, very good. Lots of Chicago folks. Yes, shout out Charlotte, Harlem, Douglasville, Georgia. We got a kind of Hyde Park, Chicago. Somebody was real specific. They're a South Sider. Let's see, we got some Detroit. I love it. But she said, but I'm from Chicago. I'm from Flint, Michigan. So I'm the opposite. I'm from Michigan. I'm in Chicago. We got LA, Cal City and Chicago, Bronzeville. Like you all are all over. This is fantastic. And if I'm looking, we're up to 67 people here on the phone. That is so wonderful. Let's see, Mobile, Alabama. Like we are all over the place. And that just does my heart good. It also says something about the viral nature of putting something out there in the space, particularly within our community, and how what I learned is we get around by word of mouth, right? That's how we get information. And I realized that, which is part of why I was like, you know what, if people don't know what coaching is, how can I expect them to kind of be partners with me in my business? They don't know what it is. I'm going to open the door. I see somebody's here from Savannah. Let's see, Northside, Chicago. I love you too, Kyla. I know you're on the north side. You're one of our young, one of the few of us that's way up north. I love going up there because it's a different world on the north side. But you all are from all over. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. The second question I want you to ask and put in the chat for me is, tell me why you decided to take out some time. You could have been anywhere right now. Like you really could and maybe should be anywhere. There's so many places, but tell me in the chat box, like, why did you decide I'm gonna take even a minute of my day, of all the things I could be doing, to come to this particular challenge? Like, what was it? Was there something different about it? Was there a word? Like, what was it that made you say, this is something I wanna be in? Somebody said curious, or somebody said, because I'm awesome. That's so sweet. Thank you. You all are awesome too. Black girl power. I love that. Somebody said, let's see, I've got to slow down and see, I wanted to be around other Black women who are having similar challenges. Yes, that is part of why we are here. I'm feeling anxious, okay, about my next steps and isolated due to COVID. Can anybody relate to that? Yeah, don't be ashamed. This is real. This is real. For those of you, I tell you all what I miss more than anything besides, you know, going out to eat and that kind of thing. I miss hugs, y'all. I miss hugs. I do. I see Terry. Terry knows I give hugs. I like hugs. I miss them. I miss being able to hug people. The fist bump just isn't enough if you do get a chance to see somebody. I want to hold you, right? And I also love to put eyes on people, right? So I miss that. Let's see. Somebody said to get some of that purposeful Erica spirit. Oh, that's thick. Thank you, Malia. I appreciate it. I just so appreciate empowerment. I see somebody saying things here. I believe in you. Thank you, Christina. And I believe in every one of you, which is why I can bring this kind of group together and know something amazing is going to happen. It doesn't matter what it is that I say. It's really more about what you all bring to this. So I just so appreciate all of these comments and you all telling me. And even though I won't be able to read all of them here, I want you to know I'm going to save this file and read it, because part of the reason of me doing this, I want to make sure that it meets your needs too. Now, we can't get to everything, but there are probably going to be some questions and things that I want to answer for you that I can probably do on our Facebook page, or I can do in a direct email or something to you if it's confidential. So I don't want you to be shy about asking the question, okay? Put it in the chat box. Even if I don't get to it tonight, I promise you I'm going to read it and I'm going to find different ways to get you that answer as soon as I can. All right, so we've got a sense of why we're here, and I think we're all inspired by some of the same things. I really encourage you to ask the questions that you might have. I may have an answer, or I may flip it back to you and say, ladies, let's talk about it. What is that answer to you? What I also want to do is just set for some group norms, just because it's my job to create kind of safe space. I would love for us to be able to everybody have a conversation like we would if we were in a room, but that's why we have on mute. So one of our norms is stay on mute unless we ask somebody to speak up, and then we'll have somebody to come off of mute. But beyond that, I want to remind us that we are all here to grow and to encourage one another to grow. If we're not here to do that, then this might not be the space for you, okay? This is also a no judgment zone. Some of us are struggling with some things and they're just real. There's no judgment in that. It's just reality. And so as we don't want to be judged, we will also not judge other people. I also want to encourage you around the fact that what you get out of this experience is going to be what you give. So as much as I'm going to ask you to actively listen to other people, we're going to expect that other people are actively listening to you. And you all have all heard probably the phrase, we're going to listen to understand and not necessarily just to be understood. Sometimes the pause of just letting people have the space is important for us to be able to get to breakthrough. And we're going to ask questions. And we may not have the answers to all of those, but we're going to ask those questions and see, once we put it out there, it gives us our opportunity to get the answers that we want. So we're going to ask questions, and we're also going to maintain some confidentiality. I heard someone say in another workshop that I went to that the stories that we learn here and the personal stories and testimonies people give, the stories stay here. The lessons can go, right? You can take the lessons that you've learned here and you can say, you know, I was in this challenge and we learned about X, Y, and Z, and it really made me think about X, Y, and Z. But what we're not going to do is say, so-and-so said that so-and-so to you, and we're not going to do that. And we know the world would have us to believe the Black women are catty and petty and that we can't commune and be in the same space. And I equivocally deny that. And I know that we're going to do a good job of following those norms. All right. So with that, do we have any questions before I keep going? I had promised I had slides for all of this, but it's easier to talk to you all. I think I'm feeling this energy. So I didn't feel like I needed to do that from slides. Any questions before we get started? I got to scroll all the way down to the end of my chat box. Y'all been talking. I love it. I see a couple of other things. I want to connect more to Black women. There are only 4% Black women in the Southeast region of Michigan that you're in. So this is a good space for that age. I love that. Let's see, someone else said, I'm always looking for ways to walk or stay grounded in my purpose in life. So I'm for being around those, especially Black women who are trying to help me get there, are in the process just like I am. That's awesome. All right, so I told you all life was going to happen and that life was happening right now as I'm looking at my son and asking him to leave the room with the dog so that that is not a distraction for us in these moments. All right, so give me a second. Let me ask you this. Did everyone get the workbook? I know there was some questions with the link. I want to apologize for the technical difficulties. If I could tell you all how much has gone in to try to prepare to avoid that. But the reality is you can prepare and you just, as my grandmother would say, you just always have to be and stay ready, right? So I am apologizing that you all didn't get the link, but did everybody get them? Tell me in the chat box, did we get the link finally? Did we finally? Okay, I see, yes, I got it. All right, I'm gonna ask my right hand tonight, who is my friend, Khalid. I'm gonna ask her to just put it in there, just in case somebody didn't get the link to the workbook. And there's two different links that she can put in there. One of them, if you have a Gmail account, the Dropbox is the other one. So one is a Google Drive. It's the same book, just in a different place. So I'm going to ask that you kind of pull that up. That's just a guide. Let me say that when we're going through the sessions today, I am not planning on going page by page of the workbook. That is a reference point for you. So if you find it helpful to do it during this session, great. But it really is for you afterwards for you to be able to reference it. So go to the Dropbox. That's probably the easy place to get it, because whether you have Gmail or not, you'll be able to access it. And the other one that's connected to the Gmail you can get as well. All right, so I'm going to put it, you're going to see me pass through several slides because I already talked through them. That's me. I told you I don't have your answers. I just help you find them. We did this, we did this. All right, so this is where we're going to go first. I spent some time thinking, how many of you do affirmations? Anybody? Hands? Anybody do affirmations in the morning? I see Jermaine's got her hand up. All right. The reason I ask is I've learned that affirming verbally how I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, what I want, affirming my intentions out loud helps me to make them more real. And so I wanted us to start off together. I'm going to ask for just a second for us to just read this together. Now, you all don't necessarily have to take yourselves off mute. If you'd like to, and it's comfortable for you to do so, fine, so we can hear you do this. But we're going to read this together. It's an affirmation that I wrote about why I did Black Women Empowered, and I want us to read it. Okay, everybody see the screen. If you can't see the screen, you can look at the workbook. If you have that, it is in that as well. And it starts, I am a Black woman. And I am empowered. Empowered to know who I am in my brilliance and beauty. Empowered to be no less than my best. Empowered to do something meaningful that is bigger than me. I do it for me because I'm worthy. I do it for my family because I love them. I do it for my community because our existence is inextricably connected. I am a Black woman empowered. All right. Thank you all for reading that, whether you did it out loud or whether you did it on mute. I thank you for that. I hope that that speaks to you. And I'm going to have us read it every day. There's something about affirming who you are, who you were created to be, and why you do what you do that casts that intention. And wherever we put our intention, that is exactly the result that we will get. So this is the intention for Black Women Empowered today. All right. So the lesson number 1. Black Women Empowered. Again, I said this last week has been a superstar. Like, the world has seen Black women and their magic on display, and all of our grace, our majesty, and our brilliance. The first lesson that I want us to think about is to know who we are. Know thyself. I've heard it say that the 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you figure out why. Right? Which has more to do with like the meaning. But as you're figuring out why, your why is different than everybody else's. And it's really about starting with knowing, who am I? Who am I? Who was I created to be? What makes me unique? What makes me special? What makes me remarkable? And I think it's important that we pause and ask ourselves, like, what is special about me? You all heard me. If you saw my video, the video that my 15-year-old helped me edit, which I so appreciate, in that video, I remember coming up with that idea that, we talk about Black girl magic all the time, but we sometimes struggle with like, why am I magical? When somebody says, like, tell me a little bit about yourself. Am I right to say that some of us struggle answering that question? Anybody? Is that just me? I'm seeing some nods. I'm assuming that I'm not the only one. I remember before recently having that issue of like, how do I answer that question? Has anybody ever been, who likes to go to the networking events, right? Where you got to meet people that you don't know? Anybody? I see all my hands going down. Okay, Kenya said I like to meet new people. Okay, I'm kind of strolling through my page to see if anybody who likes those kind of events. Okay, Asia said I do. I can tell Asia's like, oh, I love it. I like to get out there. That's awesome. For most of us, that awkwardness of being able to meet somebody who doesn't know us is difficult because I don't know you and you don't know me and I don't know if I trust you and you don't know if you trust me. Like we're trying to find common ground and we might start talking about the weather or the Bears if we're a fan or, like we might start talking about sports or something that we have in common. But what I found was so magical when I figured this out was that when I knew who I was really an interesting person at those events because I could say something provocative that would make them go, huh, what does that mean? So I remember I would tell, when I first was getting into being a coach, I would tell her, I started my career as a teacher. I'm a coach by trade, but also by nature. And they would say, well, what does that mean? I'm like, well, I feel like part of my being is to help people be better. And that is whether I'm a parent, whether I'm a mom, no matter what I'm doing, my goal is to help you be the best version of who you are. And once I was able to latch on to that thing of like, that's something that I think makes Erica remarkable. I realized that was something I could share with people and they would appreciate it and they would remember it. So what we're going to do in just a second is I want each of you to be thinking about what is that thing that makes me remarkable, special? And you're going to introduce yourselves to people who you do not know in this space. There's some people on this call that you know perhaps, but there's some people that you don't. And I'm going to have you in a moment go into a breakout group and you're going to introduce yourself and try to explain a little bit about who you are, but not just saying my name is so-and-so and I blah. Because how many of you are thinking I got to tell my name and where I'm from and how many kids I have and what my job is? Are those the things that are going through your mind right now when you're thinking about introducing yourself? Kinda. I'm looking in the chat to see. Marissa said yes. Ayana said yes. That's usually what I do when I introduce myself. Yep, that's very good. It's a good place to start, but that's not where I want you to stay. What I want you to do is you are going to introduce yourself and you're going to give people something interesting about you. And not just like what do you call that thing? Two truths and a lie kind of interesting, but something genuinely that somebody would remember about you. And the way that I want you to do that, I want you to take, if you are in your space in your home, I want you to find a object in your house. I'll put this in the homework. Find an object in your house that represents you in some way. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be a painting. It could be a photo, but I don't want a photo of you. I want a photo of something else. Like, because if it's a photo of you, I can just look at you on the screen. But find something, an inanimate object that says, you know what, this right here represents me. Now, I'm going to give you a little time to do that. I hope you had a chance to think about it before. Find that object, and you're going to come back to the screen with it, and then we're going to move you in breakout groups to introduce yourself and say, my name is so-and-so. I brought this object, and then tell us why. All right, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, though, to go find your thing, and I'm checking the chat to see if anybody has any questions right now. Go find your object and come back at 6:32 or 7:32, depending on where you are. All right, I'm seeing some interesting stuff. All right. I'm just going back up through the chat. Some of you already did your homework because you're like, I see you, Anita. You already got your object, didn't you? Oh yes, you achiever. I see you, Morgan. Morgan was like, I know exactly what I. Some of you got ahead. These are our planners, our people who are strategic with their time. They read the email, right? They were the ones that called me and said, hey, the link isn't working. I appreciate you. I love you. All right. You got about, well, let's see, 1 more minute, ladies. I don't want you to overthink this. This should be something that comes almost from like your inside, your heart. I can't wait to see. If you have your object, put it up, because I'm not going to get to see everybody's. I want to see. Oh, I have that believe sign. That would have been mine, Alexandria. I love it. All right, somebody's got a book and a picture. Ooh, Gail. Is that axe throwing? Ooh, I'm gonna go in your breakout group to see what that's about. That's interesting. Okay, that is really, I really want to hear it. Gail, I might have you come back on and tell us in the large group what that's about. But hold on. That's fascinating. Okay, what else do we, oh, we've got an elephant. Are you a Delta, Ebony? Oh, okay. All right. Happy Founders Day to all the sorors. I'm not one, but I love y'all. I do. I love it. You made my screen was blue, and then it was pink and green, and it was it was red for a day. It was beautiful. I love it. All right. Let's see. Does everybody have their objects? All right. Oh, that's beautiful. You are beautiful. That's a good one. I see it. You all are thoughtful. I can tell. We're doing some good thinking here. This is fun. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off the share for just a second. All right. Yeah. All right, ladies. Is everybody back? I think we're just about all back. We will be in just a second. People are coming back in. All right. Did you all hear about some interesting things in your rooms? Let me remind everybody to just go back on mute. I'm going to ask a couple of people to come off mute, though, and talk to us a little bit. So if you are that person would like to share, then you can put your hand up and I will try to call on you. As people are coming back in the room, I had an opportunity to go in. I told you I was going to figure out what was going on with that axe with Gail. And she shared something. I'm actually going to put her on the spot and have her share so that you all can hear it too. Because how many want to know what the act was about and what? Right, Christina, Renee, everyone's like, what is that? So let's see, Gail, where are you?
I'm here.
All right, can you come off mute and explain to people what came out of that, why you picked that axe to explain or to talk about yourself?
Yeah, so I brought an axe. I've thrown them, and that's what it is. So New Year's Eve, I discovered axe throwing as a fun thing to do. You can do it in COVID because you social distance. Nobody wants to be around you when you're throwing an axe. And I discovered that I just really, really liked it. And so a couple of weeks later, my daughter came to town. She and I went axe throwing. I went axe throwing again with her. And so I've done it. I had done it twice. We did some archery on the same day. Had a really good time. Well, she'll be back in town this weekend, and we're going axe throwing again. So it's such a ridiculous thing to suddenly become obsessed around, but I just discovered that I really like throwing axes at walls, and I'm not really good at it, to be honest with you. I mentioned in the group that, I don't know if you've seen the video about the woman who threw the axe and it bounced back and almost hit her. Yeah, see, mine comes back at me too, so I'm not really good at it. It usually just flies across the floor. It doesn't actually come at my head or anything. But I like doing it, and I'm going to go and I'm going to do it again. And I have some more friends coming to town. I'm like, oh, where can I find another Groupon for axe throwing? So I keep finding Groupons and going to throw axes. And it's a ridiculous thing to become obsessed around, but it's probably cheaper than therapy. So there you go.
Right. I love it. I love it. And I just thank you, Gail, for sharing that. I am fascinated by that. And what I asked Gail to say is, to try to think, like, I'm thinking as I'm listening to you all talk about your objects, I'm thinking, well, what does that thing actually say about you, right? What is is there for you anyway? I had a word, and I'll share with you when Gail shared that story with us. But what was it that you all heard about Gail's personality that came through for you? Anybody? Does anybody
She's open to try new things.
Right. Okay. So yeah, somebody said adventurous. That was the word that came from me. My Ayana says willing to try new things, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So think about it in the context of, like, if I'm going to interview for a job, And I need to tell these people not only like all the things that I've done that are on my resume, but I want to say something that stands out and is going to make them remember me. Am I not going to throw in there? You know, one of the things I really do love to do is axe throwing. Because who's not going to remember the axe thrower at the end of the interview, right? Because there's always like a 5-minute period right after an interview where people will be like, you all believe that? Like they're going to have a conversation. Like, what do you remember? They're going to remember that. But it's not just the axe throwing. It's the attitude behind the axe throwing. It's the adventure of it. It's what makes her remarkable because of that thing. And that's what I want you all to hold on to. It's not the thing. It's what the thing says about you that is important.
I don't know if I'd actually bring axe throwing into an interview because I don't want them leaving thinking if she gets mad, is she bringing an axe to work?
So how could you then, that's a really good thing. That's a really good point. We got to moderate, right? We got to moderate, Gail. But what you can say is if it's about my adventure, what you're saying is I'm not afraid to do new things, to try new things.
Absolutely.
That is a characteristic that they're saying we need somebody who is going to be ambitious, who's going to be, you know, certainly going to be motivated to try,
just that.
right? So think about how you can, there's always a way to take the thing that could be seen as negative, but to pinpoint it and aim it at what you want it to be. And I think that's a really good representation of that. Okay.
Oh, yes.
I'm hoping that what you all are taking, because I can't get to everybody. This is why, you know, I would love to be able to talk, but I would hope that most of you have this idea of, yeah, there's a thing that I would want somebody to leave understanding with me, about me, right? And whatever that thing is, that's the thing that I want to be able to bring my whole self when I'm talking to people, when I'm sharing with them who I am. Bring the unique thing. Don't go into the interview just saying like, oh, I'm really hardworking and I get stuff done and I have it. Like, that's cool, but can we assume that most people are going to do that? What's the thing that's going to make you stand out though? Because I promise, I've been an HR director, I've been on the other side of it. And on the other side of these conversations, there's always, we've been interviewing all day over the last 3 days. Who do we remember? And you're going to blend in like, you know, butter on toast. If all you say is, well, I work really hard and I get stuff done. Some of you are waiting for people to acknowledge you based on your merit. But how many of you know that's not enough? I'm telling you, it's not enough. It's the place to start because you first have to be excellent before you can do anything. You have to be excellent in what you do, for sure. At least Black women do. I will acknowledge that there are some mediocre peers that don't look like us that can get away with not being excellent. That's not us. Right? We have to be excellent. So that's our floor. Our floor is excellent. But what is going to get you to stand out and for people to recognize and notice your brilliance and your magic is not just that you're excellent, because you are that anyway. It's that they know something special or unique about your value proposition, about what you offer. And something as simple as, I like to throw axes and this is why, because I'm an adventurous and I don't mind taking chances. That's something that they may need to know about you. Everybody get that lesson? All right. The other thing that I want to do is remind you that who you are is not what you do. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say that? Somebody come off of mute and explain to me what they hear when I say that. Who you are is not, go on, Lisa, is not what you
do. I saw this on the Yana Van Zant. This is the best example. She was asking one of the reality star girls that was on there, and she said, who are you? And she said, I got a record deal at 19. I bought my first house. I got signed with her. She said, who are you? She said, I've been on a reality show, blah, 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 and I'm a model. And she said, who are you? She said, I'm telling you who I am. She said, you keep talking about what you do. I need you to tell me who you are.
Yes.
And I was excited about jumping in on that because I'm jumping in the dating pool again, and I've not been there for a very, very long time. And I am being very, very intentional about not talking about what I do, because I want to know who I am. And so this forces me, these conversations force me to talk about who I am. And the only way I can do that is if I dig deep into what's special about me so that I can share it and with whoever I'm talking about. And I make it very, you know, make it a point, especially when you on the dating site and you still in the texting stages. It's like, you know, it's so natural to say, well, what do you do? And I'm being very intentional about not doing that and not sharing what I do, because I want to know who I am so that I can tell you who I am. That's and you can get excited about it, but I got to find it out first.
Absolutely. It is the first step. You are let everybody clapping for Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing. Thank you for sharing Sister Ayala and bringing her to this space, because I'm going to tell you, I am a fan. I love Fix My Life. I'm mad that it's going away. She's going to do something else. I'm sure that's great. But I love it. I watch it like religiously, and I do it because she tells you truth. And the truth is, some of us are leading with what we do. And I'm not just talking about work. I'm talking about I'm a mama, I'm a wife, I'm this, I'm that, I do. But you are a human being. You gotta be somebody. You can't just do your way through life. You gotta be somebody, and you gotta know what that is. Because no one else is gonna see it if you don't know it. They'll just know you for what you do, and then you can't be mad when they're asking you to do stuff all the time. Anybody? I need you to do, I want you to do, I need you to do. And you're like, why are you always asking me? Because you have not articulated, wait, who I am, I'm a helper, but a helper also helps herself. And this time, no is a complete sentence. Not going to do it. I'm going to help myself to some peace because I'm a helper.
Amen. Amen.
So I need you all to really channel this idea of who you are is not just what you do. What you do is important. And I don't mean to put that aside as if it doesn't matter. It does matter. But what you do, and this is specific to work, should be aligned with who you are. Is anybody doing work that is not aligned with who they really are in their being? And I don't just mean work. I mean, just like you might be doing something that you're just like, and yeah, you got to pay your bills, right? So I get that. You got to have a job, right? But you still have to have some kind of outlet that is a release of who you are. If you are an artist has to do art. If you are a creative, you have to create. If you are a cook, you have to cook. If you are a coach, this is for Erica, you got to coach. And it doesn't matter if I'm coaching clients or if I'm coaching my parents or if I'm coaching my son. I'm a coach. Coaches got to coach. So part of what it is you got to know what it is, who you are, because that will determine how you will find joy in what you do. Everybody understand? That was lesson number 2. I'm not even using my slides now. I'm just talking and vibing off of you all's energy. I see the smiles and the nods, and I'm feeling that.
I had a question, Erica.
Yeah, go ahead, Asia.
Okay. So in our group, we were discussing how many of us are part of corporate America. And I said, I love corporate America, but it didn't love me back. So I had to take myself, who's very artsy, and who's very like healing and attraction with people. And I'm a social justice healer now. And that's what I do. And that's what I am. So for me, it is synonymous.
Yep.
So I just kind of wanted to put that out there, but sometimes it is synonymous.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I love that you use that. But here's the thing. You said I heard you say, Asia, I'm a creative, right? I was in a corporate space. But let me tell you, am I right to say that in the corporate space, they still need creativity? Can you be in the corporate space?
But they didn't value it.
Right. Well, so they might not in certain ways, right? They may not want you to make art murals all over the wall, right? But creativity is beyond just art. Creativity is coming up with a new thing that doesn't exist already. And am I right to say in the corporate space, you have to be creative because it's always about what's the new thing that's going to make us some money. So who you are as a creative doesn't start with just your art, or it starts and end with your art. That's part of it, but you can be creative in other ways as well. And I'm guessing that they just did not appreciate that about you.
That's it. Boom.
Yeah. Yep. And in that case, then you need to say, I know who I am. I know what I bring. You don't value it. So maybe I need to go somewhere else. And that's okay. Right? But the first thing, all of that starts with the discomfort of saying, I know who I am and I don't know what I'm feeling and what I'm getting back, whether it's in a relationship or a court, you know, or my job. I'm not getting back the same appreciation for who I am. So now I have a decision to make. Let me ask you this. Has anybody ever, this is a reflection question. In coaching, like I said, my job is to kind of give you a reflection, either to show you a blind spot that you may or may not see, may or may not know, but it's also to kind of have you to think about things that you know you maybe need to struggle with a little bit and think about. Does anybody ever find themselves being defined who you are based on somebody else's perception or image of you?
Absolutely.
Okay, who said absolutely?
Kenya.
Okay, where you at, Kenya? Tell me what that's about.
Someone defining you by what they feel.
Mm-hmm.
My hair.
What do they think? What are the assumptions behind Kenya's beautiful hair?
Oh, I'm militant. You know, the sister locks, dark complexion. So got to, you know, definitely pro-Black, militant.
So they see you coming in the door like this.
Oh yeah, you know. So that has definitely defined me before I've entered a room to even share who I am.
Yeah.
You know.
How do you know that, like, what is the sense that you get? Like, how do you make that conclusion that they've made some decisions or assumptions about me already? How do you know?
The body language. And, you know, for me, I feel like social media and has just given people the opportunity that they say whatever is on their mind. You know, that's the world that we live in, reality TV, everything, right? I can say it and you should accept it. So it's been said, it's the looks, you know, what does that mean? What does your hair mean? Or, you know, just you look so eccentric, you know, just things like that. And it comes from Black, white, it comes the whole gamut. But thankfully, my organization is not tied to what I look like. But I know if I was to go into a corporate setting, this would not, it would definitely be, it would be different.
I had a conversation earlier with a potential partner, and there was this we were thinking about doing an internship program, and we were saying we want our young people to operate and know who they are and, you know, create new rules to the game, not just kind of, you know, fall in line. But there is this fine line or understanding that there are certain expectations in certain spaces, and you've got to figure out how to navigate them.
Absolutely.
I have, right? And I've gotten to a place where I don't know that I will ever straighten my hair again, but I used to. No judgment, you know, like I used to. And I used to think, you know, that was like what I had to do to kind of be in certain spaces, right? Now I know differently now, but I understand why people sometimes feel like I'm a corporate lawyer in a certain space and I'm going to be a partner. I feel like I have to do that. That choice is on you to make, right? Let me just say, your hair is an accessory. It's not a definition of who you are.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. But I will say that we all grapple with that. Like, how far do I go? And how do I not lose myself in any space? So I can be authentically me wherever. And this is why, ladies, I was so committed, because I can't tell you how many emails that I got before this to ask me, is this space just for Black women? I got that question from a lot of different people. And I respected the question because what it said to me is that other people want this kind of training too. I get that. But I needed this space to be for us to be able to say that. To be able to say that that is a challenge that we consistently have, and we've got to figure out how to navigate that. Yeah. That's real for us. It's not real for everybody. Yeah. Somebody else is going to answer the question about where other people have tried to define or put impressions or ideas on you. Let's see. I'm looking at Christina.
Yeah. So I have a unique experience. It's not the corporate experience, but as an at-home mom as a Black woman that has been an at-home mom for all this time, the experience of trying to be, sorry, I got to plug in my computer. Of course, it happened right at this exact moment. Thank you. The experience of trying to explain to other people the choices that I've made and the reasons why I have made them, and empowering my sons to feel confident in their mom's capabilities and who I am and my level of education. Like, just trying to balance all of that can be really difficult. And there can be this backlash of, well, I mean, you should be doing your own thing. You should be making your own money. You should be, you can do it all. And yeah, maybe for some people that's possible. Maybe for a lot of people that's possible. For some people it is absolutely necessary, right? And I get that. But being categorized in that way is sometimes really challenging, and it's sometimes really hurtful, because I think, well, aren't we all working towards being able to make our own choices, whether it be our career choices, who we partner with, how many children we have, if we have children, right? We are all wanting to have the ability to choose. And then if you make a choice that's not necessarily popular or common, then it's shame on you. You should know better. You should be doing it differently. So yeah, that sometimes makes me feel like I'm put into this box of, well, you're just different. You don't understand. You don't get it. You don't deserve a seat at the table because you took this time off from working outside.
Yeah. Lots of people, thank you for sharing that so honestly, Christina. I so appreciate it. A lot of people have the shoulds for us. And we just have to be prepared to know that people are going to have. This is why one of the rules in this space was no judgment, because there is no should. This is why I tell people, I don't have your answer. As your coach, I want to create a space for you to find the answer that works for you. It doesn't have to work for me. So we have to be real conscious, though, that everybody doesn't, one, have our best interest at heart, but also people are going to have their shoulds, and those, if I know what mine are, then those can stop mattering as much, right? It doesn't mean that we don't hear it. It just means we don't give it a lot of power, right? So, but the first step, as you've done, Christina, is to acknowledge, like, I hear that, right? And then I have to be able to walk in my own shoes to say, but I'm going to do this because I know that it works for me, for my family, and the shoulds get quieter because I don't care. I'm not going to give it any authority. I'm going to ask for one more person. There's another Christina who I think was also going to go. Am I right? Here she is. All right. Are you okay? She's coming off mute. There we are. All right.
Hi.
So what has been your experience with other people's perceptions or trying to put things on you about who you are?
Can you guys hear me? So I'm from Chicago. Growing up, my mom was from Mississippi. My granddaddy was a sharecropper. I have the accent. It comes out. I can't help it. My mom's straight from middle of nowhere, Mississippi. I was in the Navy for 8 years. And as a Black female in a primarily white dominated rating, because I worked in combat systems, they could not fathom that I was smart enough to be there. It could not have happened that way. I was all about, them trying to integrate with Black people, or them trying to get Black women in the rating, or them trying to have, more diversity in combat systems. It didn't dawn on them that I aced my ASVAB and I had took pre-engineering in high school, or the fact that I already knew what resistors looked like and the color-coded combinations that were on them. I already knew how to solder. I already knew how to change out circuit boards because I went security. That's what we did. I went through the engineering program. That's what they taught us how to do. It was, and that's why I got out. I cross-rated. I had 3 different jobs. And I was just like, this is not for me. The military was not for me. My personality was not for the military. And the military was definitely not for me. My patience was over. I was done. So you try to not let things define you or your career path or what it is that you want to do in life, but it happens, and it does. And all it did was show me that this is not the way that I wanted to go with my life. This is not where I see myself being. And half of those people that I was stationed with on the ship are doing nothing with their lives now. So I'm just kind of like, I've seen them. It's crazy.
Right.
The Navy is a small community.
I love it. So what I love, thank you, Christina, for sharing, and thank you for your service. My goodness, and shame on them for not knowing your brilliance or seeing you for everything that you can offer. What I love is as you got more clear about who you were, that allowed you to make some different choices. And I think that's the last thing that I want to leave you all with. So eloquently, Christina is giving, like, as I learn more about that, I know what I need. I know what I want. I know who I am. I then get to decide what to do next. I get to make that choice, right? And I don't have to fall victim to what the people say I should do. Once I get real clear, anybody ever been real clear about who I am and who I'm not? It's powerful, y'all. It is a powerful place. And if that's a place that you are aspiring to be, I'm telling you, just keep doing the work. Use the workbook that I sent you. Answer some of these questions. Talk to people about it. Start getting real clear about who you are, because once you have that, and that is the source of your power. You can't be moved. You understand. It doesn't mean that things aren't difficult or they're not challenging, but you have a real sense of solid foundation of, I know who I am. I also do an activity with my clients about my values. I know what I value. And once I know those things, it gives me a little bit more clarity and direction about, do I go left or do I go right? Do I stay here? Do I stay there? Because I know what grounds me. And this is why in the coaching that I do with people, I don't start with, well, tell me what it is that you want to do with your life and what kind of career path you want. Because how many of you, when you were young, you had it all planned out? From day one, from your career in the military, Christina, all the way up the top, like you had a ladder in your mind. I see you, I see your hands. Yes, I see you, Katanya. I see you. I know it because I thought it too. I had a pathway that I was following, and it's usually articulated sometimes by people who love us. They mean the best. You know, my mom is on the call. She could tell me. She told me early on I was going to be a teacher, which was really interesting. And I ended up being not only a teacher, but doing what I'm doing now. So she was right. I give you that. If she's still on the call, she was right. Sometimes they mean the best for you, but sometimes they got you on a path that actually doesn't work for you, right? They've got you on this kind of trajectory of where you're going. But once you get clear about who you are, whatever that path was, it can change. If you're starting to come to some realizations about who you really are, and not just what you're supposed to do, but like who you are at your core, that'll clarify some things about some of your choices. Has anybody ever experienced that other than me? I know for me, I can give you a real example. I'm gonna give you one, and then I'm gonna call on somebody else to share. I had done, just to give you a little bit of background, I started my time as a teacher. I went and I did a graduate degree. I moved to Chicago. I was doing community development consulting. I was doing HR in a charter school organization. I worked for Chicago Public Schools running after school. Like, I've done a lot of things, all of them really focused on improving the lives of young people for the most part. I was the last job that I had before I started my own business, which I frankly was not intending to do. I was working at an organization where we were doing leadership development for Black and Brown leaders who are trying to basically be leaders in education. And we wanted them to have coaching like this and executive skill training so that when they got at the table, they were ready for their moment, but they also were bringing their authentic selves to the space. At some point, Surge started realizing they started growing, and what they really needed was somebody who was going to be working on strategy. And the leader of the organization, which is a very, very good friend of mine, she might be having a baby as we speak. I don't know, because she's pregnant with her baby, and I can't wait for her to deliver. But at that time, she realized we needed a strategy person. And she said, Erica, these are the two leadership positions I see as we expand where we're going to go. I had to take a real good look at these positions and acknowledge that although this is what Surge absolutely needed, neither one of those positions represented Erica. And I loved this organization, y'all. I mean, loved it. It grieved me to my heart to have to say to Carmita, I don't see myself here anymore. I had to step down because I knew that where the organization needed and what Erica needed, which was this, coaching and developing people, did not look like strategy. If I had stayed with Surge, I would have done Surge a disservice and I would have done Erica a disservice. So I, without a job, although my mom probably thought I was nuts, as did my husband, stepped out of that position. I say that to say that that led me on a path to doing exactly what I'm doing now. I had to ask myself deep questions. I had to say, who am I? What am I really trying to do? I don't just want a job, I want a purposeful career. So what does that look like? And in those, I went 8 months without working, y'all. Imagine 8 months, I got 3 kids, a husband, like all of that, 8 months without working. But in that period, I figured out that what I really love to do is develop people. So how do I do that? And that launched me into this path of doing Purposeful Seed. So I am not telling you this just because it sounds good on a piece of paper or in my little workbook. I'm telling you this because I lived it. And I have helped other people live it too. And I want each of you to live it, whether you work with me as a coach ultimately or not. This is really about you figuring out who I am so you can make better choices for you. All right. I was going to ask for one other person. Somebody else had their hand up. Anybody else want to share about how this is maybe happened, worked for them? When I got clear about who I was, it helped me shape the decision I make. Anybody? Is it just me? Candace, you had your hand up. Yes, please share.
I did the same thing that you did. I worked at FedEx for years, but I always felt this calling. I'm a 17-year colon cancer survivor, but I've always felt this calling that there was much more for me. And it started that my pathway with FedEx and my ethics, they started crossing and they just weren't in alignment. And it just got one day, I just couldn't. And I just quit and walked off the job. And although it was an impulsive decision, but it was the best decision because I got to the point where I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't, when I got to work, I was stressed out. And when I was coming home, it was like I was miserable. And I knew that there was much more to my purpose because I was a patient advocate walking other patients through the process. And it was for me, but it made space for me to start my own foundation. And once I did that, my foundation blossomed and I felt happier. I felt restful, but I felt purposeful and energetic. Yeah. So I knew that was not that space for me anymore. I had outgrown that space and I was still, because I was still trying to find out who I was. I had read the book Purpose Driven Life when it first came out many years ago. And I thought my purpose at the time was because I loved to design windows. I was going to be a window designer. That was going to be me. I'm a window dresser, but that never panned out, And so it was so comforting to realize that what I had been, looking for eventually manifested, but it manifested after a tragic experience. But it was one that I knew that if I didn't have that experience, I couldn't speak on it. Yeah. And I couldn't speak it as passionately and as forcefully and, as knowledgeably as I do. And the passion wouldn't be there.
That's awesome. And I thank you, Candace, for sharing that very compelling personal story. I'll tell you all, I am honored when people share a piece of themselves with us. So thank you for that. For all of you who have shared this evening, it is an honor when somebody shares a piece in, because most of the time people ask you all the time, like, hey, how you doing? But they don't really mean it. They open the door, but they're really not trying to hear what comes on the other side of that comment. They just want you to be like, oh, I'm fine. Okay, cool. But when I'm asking you, I'm asking because I really want to know. So when you open yourself and share that, Candace, thank you for sharing that journey. What I hear you also saying is that your peace was at stake. Anybody else been in that place where like I'm doing stuff, but my peace is on the line? Don't give up your peace, you all. You're gonna hear a little bit more about me about this, but I know this. I know this. And those of you on this call who know me, you know I've lived this. Don't give up your peace. It's not worth it. It's not worth your health. It's not worth all the things that you're putting at risk for risking your peace. It's not worth it. And Candace, you gave that up and exchanged it for something meaningful, purposeful, purpose-driven. That's sounds like not only just helping you, but also helping those that you're serving with this foundation. And that is a blessing to be able to be used as a blessing, or what I call an angel on assignment for somebody else, which is how I see my life, right? So I thank you for sharing that. And I could not have scripted that. This is how I knew I needed this group, because I knew that I could throw some stuff out, and I know you all gonna shoot it right back at me like Serena in a tennis match. Like it was gonna go back and forth, and it was gonna be effortless for me. So much so that I have not used one of my slides. That's awesome. I'll put them out there later so you can see them. But I so appreciate it. I want to see if there are any before we go, because I'm going to give you the last 2 minutes I want to reserve for like what we're going to do tomorrow, and just kind of give you a little bit of projection. But I want to see if there are any questions either in the chat box or any question that you all want to ask, since we're in the middle of this kind of discussion period. Anybody? All right. Okay.
I'm sorry. There was a few of us, Candace, that wanted to know the name of the foundation that you started.
My foundation is called the Blue Hat Foundation. It's here in Chicago, but we're a national patient advocacy. We're the only Black national patient advocacy colorectal cancer foundation.
Look at that. That is so awesome. And can you put in the chat box, you have a website, can you put that in there so we can go follow it? That would be great, or a Facebook page or something so we can connect with it. I love that. Thank you for asking that question, Yvette. That's just patient advocacy, but particularly around cancer, colorectal cancer. I am a breast cancer survivor. I have a real big heart for people who are going through that journey. You'll hear a little bit more about that, but I'm telling you, the work that you're doing is so important, Candace. So thank you so much. And thank you, Yvette, for asking that. I so appreciate it. So we are going to get ready to close. I'm serious when I know your time is so precious for me. So I'm not keeping you any time past 7:30, except for those who maybe want to stay. If you want to stay and you want to have particular questions for me, I will stay from 7:30 to 8 o'clock for anybody. I call that like the overtime. But I was committed to getting you all out of here by 7:30, and so I want to be able to do that. What I want to let you know is that the next 2 days are going to be similar to this. What I will say is tomorrow is really going to be about channeling and finding your source of power. And it's a little different than you probably think, so I want you to think about that. But I think Candace kind of teed it up where it's really about finding your peace and how you restore your power. It's not just about just knowing who you are. But anybody out there tired? I mean, we in COVID land, so I know I should see almost everybody's hand. It's some fatigue. COVID fatigue, tired of the kids' fatigue. I'm gonna put up both my hands on that one. I love them, but I need them out of my house. They're up there probably listening, but we are tired for lots of reasons, and we need to figure out how we recharge. And I want to talk about that a little bit tomorrow, because you can only be as good in what you do as the energy that you have. So that's a little bit about tomorrow. And then the third day is about strength. Some of you wrote both in your, on the Facebook post or whatever, you wrote a little bit about like, I want to know what I'm good at and want to know how to talk about that. So we'll talk about that as well. Please make sure, use the workbook, folks. Like I spend a lot of time just doing this, and this is my free gift to you. Spend some time doing that. If you haven't gotten it, I will resend it out, make sure the link is right. But I want you to really pay attention to the workbook. Also want you to, we're going to put, Kalia is still on, we're going to put a quick survey. It'll take you literally 3 minutes that we're going to put in the chat box here. If you would just take 3 minutes, I want your feedback. When I put in the thing, this is like a for us, by us event. If you all tell me, we did too much of this or not enough of that, I want to hear that from you, because then I can shift it. I can make this into whatever it is that you all need, because it's my event and you all are my people. So this is for you. Whatever feedback that you have related to this, I want to know about it. Okay. Let's see. I've got one more thing, and that is I'm gonna give away some prizes. Who likes prizes? I like prizes. All right, we like prizes. Okay, that's good. So I am going to give away, I like to tell people that my favorite thing to give away, because it's the thing that I can honestly own, but it's also the thing that I can give away freely and know that it's a gift because I can't get it back, and that is my time. So I am giving away 3 coaching sessions with people this evening. One-on-one, me and you, we get 45 minutes of time, and I am going to do so randomly here with my little wheel. Wait, I gotta go back to, I gotta share my screen again. Where's my screen? There we go. All right, so everybody that signed up by 4 o'clock today, or maybe 5 o'clock, by 5 o'clock is on this list. And I am going to spin the wheel. Where's the wheel? Here's the wheel. Everybody's name is on the list. If your name comes up, then you will get a chance to be on the thing. Okay, it's spinning, it's spinning, it's spinning. It takes it's like one of those big wheels, like the Price is Right wheel, where it takes a long time to get going. It's gonna stop in a minute, and we'll see if somebody is here. I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to spin this to get the people that were on the call. Let's see. And the winner is, come on.
Big bucks. No whammy, big bucks. Stop.
All right. Actually, is Gianna on the call? Anybody put it in the call?
I'm here.
Gianna, yay! Gianna, awesome. That's great. All right, I'm writing Gianna's name. Gianna Baker, you get a coaching session. Let's go to number 2.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm just glad you're here, girl, because that would have been horrible. Okay. Gianna Baker, and I have your email address, so you don't have to do anything. I will email you directly. All right, let's see who we got next. Asia said big bucks, no whammies. Although none of anybody's in here is a whammy, so that would be good. Let's see who gets it. Oh, it's just so slow. It must be a lot of people on here. Okay, let's see. Lisa, is Lisa here? Lisa was here. Lisa, are you still here? All right. Lisa's not here. Okay, I'm gonna write Lisa's name because at least I know who Lisa is, and she was definitely here. If you don't know Lisa, I should put some. You know what we're gonna do? If you're not already on the Facebook page, please go on that private Facebook page, because I also want to give people who have businesses a space to be able to say, hey, this is my business and this is what I do. So please put that on the Facebook page. I am okay with that. Put stuff out. Lisa sells clothes. She does consignment stuff. She does really, really great stuff. So we're gonna put Lisa on this list. Okay, I'm gonna do another one. All right, it's coming. I'm looking at the chat box while we're doing this so I can, let's see. Come on, Will. Asia's like, please call me. I'm gonna do this a couple of times, Asia, so it's okay. Let's see what we got, Oh my goodness, it's just so slow. Oh, the suspense is killing me. And Bianca, is Bianca Bell on? No, I don't think Bianca was on. Okay, I'm gonna do one more and see if we can get one more person here. And again, I'm gonna
her name. I did see her name earlier.
You saw her name? Okay, I'm gonna write Bianca's name.
Yeah.
And I will check the log to see whether or not, but if Bianca was on here, then she will get one. I'll do one more. Let's see. Thank you, Anita, for catching that. I appreciate it. I don't want anybody to be missed. Hazel was like, come on, Jesus, do it. And the last person is Malia. Malia was here too. Oh, she might not have made it to the end, but I know she was here, and I can prove that.
Still here.
Oh, you're here. Okay. And Malia, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. We are going to do that every night, Leah. I love to give away time. I love to spend time with people. And in that coaching session, you will be able to bring whatever your challenges or questions are, and we will work through that. So I just have to thank you all for joining me. I know it's 7:32. I'm mad. I'm 2 minutes over, but I did it because I wanted to make sure I gave some stuff away. Thank you all for being here. How many of you can come tomorrow? Anybody come tomorrow? All right, you still be here. Woohoo! All right, so Khalid, can you put that in the chat box? Can we put that that link to the, what am I looking for? The link to the survey. I want to put that out. I'm going to email it to you too. So if you got to go, that's good. But I would love it if you would just take 3 minutes, ladies, just to tell me what worked, what didn't work, so I can mix it up and do something different tomorrow. Okay. All right, love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your energy and for your participation. And if you have questions, please join the Facebook page, put them out there, introduce each other, yourselves to each other. I would love to be able to see you there. All right?
All right.
All right, I'm gonna stay on for another 30 minutes. If anybody wants to join, the feedback survey is in the link, in the chat box. Bye, if you have to go.